So would this be a flight of planes? So this is my current plane situation right now. It's not ideal. Just kind of crammed in there. And it's caused me to ding one of my blades. Gotta figure out some way to make this situation better. Most woodworkers would keep their planes out in a till on display, but I like leaving them in the cabinet because that keeps all the dust off of them. If I were to just leave them out like most woodworkers do, they'd be covered in fine dust, which would help accelerate rusting. I want to prevent that as much as possible. So the idea is to take a shelf that I built when I built the cabinets. It's an extra one. I cut it down slightly so it would fit out the door here. I turn it over as such, and with the door open wider, it'll slide right in. I thought about installing these drawer slides so that they're flat like this, but I think if you get full extension like this, it's going to pop the bearings in here. So I'm going to have to turn them up on its side. I can mount one here and I can mount one over here, but I'm going to need some more support that comes out past here. I have the spacer installed here to move the drawer slide slightly over towards the middle so I can get it past the door here. I'm going to use this to go under the shelf. That's going to go here, but that's going to have to go back a little bit once I set it. I'm just getting the size right now. And then this one will go over here. And I've already attached the bottom cleat here with some screws and glue. You want to make sure that the screws are well below the surface of the wood here so that way you don't hit it with your blades. So I'm going to mark right where I want this spacer to go here. And then just like this one, I'll glue and screw it into this side. Again, countersink your holes so the blades don't hit any of the screws. So now I've got my spacer in the back. I've got my drawer slide pushed all the way up against it. Remember that this part goes in back because this is what it actually latches onto. So that goes all the way back like that, up against that spacer. Now with the screws they give you, you can put 3 into the sides and then 3 into the drawer as well. And when putting the drawer slides in, it's easiest to take this long part off here. The way that's done is there's this little lever here. It disengages, and this part comes loose. So now I can get to the screw holes in here. So I've got the drawer slides installed here, and I've got the cleats on the bottom of the board and the shelf here. Let's do a test fit. The cabinet is not quite square. I built these early on in my woodworking career. So there's about a 1/16 of an inch wiggle up front here. That works wonderfully. Alright, so before we install this onto the drawer slides, I want to lay out all my planes. I know my big old number 7 is going in back. I don't use it very often, and it's the easiest way for it to fit in here. I'm going to set up my boundaries with some plywood here that I cut into squares. I'm going to use that same scrap piece I used to mark my drawer slide distance. I'm going to make sure that this is up nice and flat. You use a pneumatic nailer. I'm not gluing these down just in case I decide I want to change it later. I just have to pry up the nails. And I'll do the same thing on the other side here. So I'm going to use a square and I'm going to mark where I want to cut these pieces here. These three planes here are all right about the same length. So I'm going just in front of the toes. This one's got an adjustable mouth, so I got to make sure there's enough room for that. Then I can mark them here. And I'll cut this one to the same length as well. I don't want these pushed up right against here. There's going to be very little room to move in and out. However, since these are plywood, they're not going to be expanding or contracting much with humidity. So I want just a little bit of room on each side of the tool so I can get it in there and out easier. Now I just do that for all my other planes. So here we are, we got everything all done. There's a little bit of movement here and there, and of course the big number 7's got full movement, but it'll be contained by the sides of the cabinet. So now I think it's time we install this on the drawer slides. So the drawer slide kind of is back in that hole back there. I got to figure out where exactly it falls on this cleat here so I know how much travel I've got so I don't overextend it or underextend it. So what I'm going to do is use a little combination square. I'm going to lay this part against the flat part here and then push this in until it hits the metal. And lock it down. And that's how far back the drawer slide has to be from the front of this till. So now I put something heavy in the back to keep the back down while I extend it out past the bottom here. This is the drawer slide here. I can now use this to bring the drawer slide right out like that. I'm going to use the little back and forth slot here in case I need to adjust its position here. And before I tighten it down all the way, recheck with my square. Now I can do the same on this one back here. And I do the same on the other side. Alright, let's start putting planes away. And now with that open spot underneath the plane till, I can take a nice set of chisels, just slide them under here, and I can pull them out whenever I need them. And I still got some room over on this side for my mortise chisel. Nice big slick. Another nice big chisel. And the door still closes. Well, we can close the door on this project. If you like that one, give me a thumbs up down below and think about subscribing so you see the next one. See you then.